some poems from wonderful conversations. You sit on a bus in Wales and you've got 1,000 poems. I went, because I kept 4 pubs, I get asthma a lot. And I've been in all the hospitals that are around here. I have to say, Prince Charles was the worst, and Landau was the best. And I was in there, I was next to a woman, and she was talking about her husband. And this is called Appropriate Clothes. I'm lying in the hospital, feeling rather ill. Having had bronchitis, I'd rather have my fill. An ambulance has rushed me in, I've had no chance to pack, and here I am with not much on, lying on my back. So my husband has been visiting, and I told him what to do. I need nightie, soap and dressing gown. I need knickers too. I gave him just a little list. It gave him quite a pause. He doesn't know where nighties are, let alone my drawers. He doesn't go into cupboards to see where things are kept. And as for doing household things, he's really quite inept. Oh, he knows where the remote control is, he knows about TV, but he doesn't know where clothes are kept, especially for me. He cannot put a wash on, he cannot cook a dinner. By the time that I get out of here, he should be 2 stone thinner. It's been some time and I'm well, it's time to pack my case, comb my hair and brush my teeth, put makeup on my face. He's bringing me a dressing. I told him where to look. It's in the larger wardrobe, hanging on a hook. So I leave the ward, and as I go, I see the nurses frown. I'm the only lady going home in a low-cut, sparkling evening gown. Last one. My cousin was doing Nor Foods, and he asked me when I go up to Dowlais Top to help him in a red jacket, sort of promoting the Nor Foods that he was selling. And it was a really cold December morning, and off I went, and I went up there, and the thing that I had to promote was the drink Snowball. I mean, in the 70s, all the old ladies drank Snowball. So there I was, and nobody wanted to drink Snowball in the morning. And a young lad came up to me with a sweeping brush, and he said, can I have one of them? And I said, no, you can't. You're too young, and you won't like it anyway. And I started talking to him, and I don't know if he still lives in Merthyr. His name was Paul Collins, and he was there in a government training school, and I had the most fascinating conversation with him. So I went home, and this is what he told me. The undertaker's apprentice. Paul Collins wanted to be an undertaker. All his boyhood life he dreamed of it. While waiting for destiny to fulfill his dream, he went on a government training scheme. They sent him to a local cash and carry, and as he walked amongst the shelves of jam and beans, longing came over him in waves to be amongst grey granite graves. He knew he'd have to change his name to something noble with a distinctive ring, so he could dignity to the profession bring. He wondered if it would be too pushing if he changed his name to Peter Cushing. He helped lay his granny out and his Uncle Len. He hadn't enjoyed himself so much since he didn't know when. He laid out his aunts, Mary and Bertha, and he became famous all over Merthyr. People would send for our Paul saying, quick, Grandad's died and we don't know what to do. And Paul would come, black of tie, black of hat, and black of shoe. If for some reason there was no surplus, of bodies there were no surplus, Paul would kill his unfortunate pets on purpose. People in Merthyr became afraid to be ill, but Paul could hardly wait for an empty grave to fill. His mother kept on crying and thought of Paul and put off dying. His dad thought him completely mad and tried to talk him into joining up. But Paul rebelled and said he wasn't balmy and preferred undertaking to any army. His father fumed and had a heart attack. Paul was there ready, all in black. He went to see the local undertaker and asked to become an apprentice. He looked Paul over and said, do you like this place? And noted the satisfied smile that lit our little teenager's face. And now Paul's troubled spirit is so calm. He's learned to inject and stuff and embalm. Paul goes about his work very proud, handling hearse and coffin, corpse and shroud. He strides through Merthyr with his coattails flapping, his silver-headed cane tapping, tapping. He's become the happiest man in town. He's weighing people up and putting people down.
Brilliant. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Jan Price. Right, so we'll be going to a brief break shortly, during which you can get your books and get them signed as well. But before then, before we go to our little break, I've got something I'd like to read here. It was something that I read in one of the Spectrum events back before Christmas. And it's written by someone who, I was going to say she's no longer with us, but I didn't mean it that way. She's no longer living in South Wales. She's, living on the other side of the world now. So she wrote this brief account of the process of emigrating to Australia. So this is Jo Harding's story. I emigrated to Australia on the 28th of November 2011. I had met and married a stereotypical long-haired Australian while he was on a gap year in Wales, connecting with his Welsh family tree. The emigration process was a long one. 18 months of filling out applications, taking medicals, and proving our marriage was genuine so we could return to Australia together. After 18 months, my visa was granted. Hooray! Then, 2 days later, and just months after being told we would probably never fall pregnant, we found out we were having our first baby. For two major life-changing events to happen within 2 days was overwhelming. And threw questions whether I wanted to leave behind everything I knew at such an important point in my life. But I believe in taking a risk and maybe regretting what you do rather than what you don't. So, 7 weeks later, jobless, homeless, and knocked up, we emigrated. We now have 2 boys. I have a great job, and we have just built our very first house. Sometimes life is worth the risk, but as my story shows, it's not without its challenges. Okay, so now a break and a chance for you to get your drinks topped up and, of course, to buy books and get them signed. So see you after the break when we'll have Bob and Ellie then doing our musical slot. See you shortly.